Winter Bells by Penstroke. Chapter 5. Pageant Preparations. I'm so glad every pony could make it! Twilight wore a smile on her face as he stepped back from the front door. Her friends had arrived from Ponyville and were now stepping through the door with matching smiles. Twilight took each of their saddlebags in turn, levitating the bags in her magic so her friends could get comfortable as quickly as possible. "Suit, Sugar Cube," Applejack said. "We're just happy you're opening your home to us for once. Now, where's that kitchen? You may be hosting us, but I'm not about to let you and your family do all the cooking."
"Me neither,"
Pinkie Pie said as he bounded behind Applejack.
"Cookies my favorite part of the holidays. There are just so many yummy treats I can make. There are cookies, candy canes, and gingerbread ponies with gingerbread houses. Oh, and we gotta build a gingerbread bakery so that way the gingerbread ponies can have tiny candy canes. After all, gingerbread ponies are starting to celebrate the holidays too."
"Perhaps not so many sweets," Verity commented. "Personally, I'd rather not have anything more than a salad for lunch. I hope that's all right."
"Of course," Twilight assured her. "Yeah, especially because that means there'll be more for the rest of us," Rainbow Dash said as she tossed her head, listening to snowflakes that hit the right of her mane. "So, what you got to do around here?" Twilight laughed a little as he began to set the saddlebags in neat order along the wall.
"Well, besides getting lunch ready, you can sit and—"
"Sit? Nah." Rainbow Dash did a playful loop in the air. "I just spent a whole train ride sitting and playing cards with Applejack. I need to go stretch my wings."
"Well, I guess you could help set the table. There's a lot to carry from the kitchen to the dining room."
Rainbow Dash pondered the option for a minute, touching her chin with her hoof, then smiled and nodded. "Sure, I can manage that. You watch. I'll have that table set in record time."
"Do you even know how to set the table?"
Rarity asked, eyebrow arched with skepticism.
"Sure. You put the forks on one side, the knives and spoons on the other. Easy peasy."
"I assure you, it's not easy peasy,"
Rarity said firmly as he began to trot toward the kitchen, as the dining room was on the far side.
"And I am not about to let you make a mockery of the importance of proper place settings. You shall transport everything we need from the kitchen on anywhere in the house that they are needed. I will place them on the table."
"Suit yourself, Rarity,"
Rainbow Dash said with a roll of her eyes, before falling behind the fashion designer. Twilight herself giggled, and watched until the pair had disappeared from view, before looking back at Fluttershy. She was carrying a brown paper bag with her teeth, which she set down gently.
"I hope you don't mind, but I brought you a little something."
"Oh, Fluttershy, you didn't have to bring anything," Twilight said. She reached her magic in her bag and withdrew a bell-shaped item. It was comprised of tightly packed seeds held together with what looked like honey. "What's this?" Twilight couldn't help but ask.
"Oh, it's a baker cluster birdseed shaped like a bell. I call it a birdseed bell,"
Fluttershy said.
"You hang it outside, and little birdies land on it and pick the seeds out of the honey. I like to make them and hang them outside during heartswarming. They're festive, and it's a nice little treat for any birds that don't fly south for the winter. You know, they have to work a lot harder in winter to find food, so it's a little thing to do for them. That, and my birds always say they like their seeds a little better when they're baked in honey like this."
"It's lovely, Fluttershy. Thank you," Twilight said as she turned and began to walk toward the back door. "I'll go hang it up. You can make yourself comfortable in the living room, or help out in the kitchen, whichever you want." Fluttershy nodded and followed a few steps behind Twilight. She stopped at the door to the kitchen, poking her head inside. The kitchen was bustling. Applejack and Pinkie Pie had already settled in, and were working shoulder to shoulder with Twilight Velvet to help make lunch. She could see Rarity and Rainbow Dash in the dining room as well, having a small, friendly disagreement on whether to use one set of plates or another. One set had bigger plates for more food, which Rainbow Dash thought was important. Rarity felt the other set was more festive. And, amidst all the hustle of preparing for lunch, Nightlight and Shining Armor were at the kitchen sink. In an attempt to stay ahead of the mess that would result from a large lesson, they were washing, rinsing, and drying utensils as they got dirty. In all, Fluttershy was sure there was already enough ponies worrying about lunch and retreated to the living room. Cadence was sitting in a chair, and smiled as he turned her head to the Pegasus' direction.
"Fluttershy, how are you?" "Oh, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. How are you?"
"I got banished from the kitchen by Velvet," Cadence said with a small chuckle.
"Otherwise, I'm doing fine." "Why were you banished?"
Fluttershy asked as he took a seat on the couch.
"Did you spill something?"
Sort of," Cadence admitted. "I kept hitting my horn on the cupboards when I was trying to work over the counter, and it kept making my magic falter. When I dropped an egg, Velvet sent me here.
Oh my, is your horn okay? Did you hurt it?
Don't worry about her, Fluttershy, Twilight said, shaking off her hose as he came back from the backyard, having hung the birdseed bell. A knock to the horn will disrupt unicorn magic for a few moments, but as long as there's no cracks or breaks, it'll always be just fine.
Are you sure? I mean, I don't know a lot about unicorn horns, but I know one of my furry little friends twisted his ankle once. It wasn't bad, but then he didn't rest it and it got worse. He had to stay off of it for a whole week after that. And a pony, especially a princess, should never lose her magic.
I'm okay, Fluttershy, I promise, Cadence assured her. Here, I'll prove it. With that, the princess turned her head, focusing on the pile of logs that took up a corner of the room. It looked like pieces of furniture had been hurriedly shoved out of the way in order to make room for the wood. The princess's horn glowed, and a single log lifted up from the pile. Cadence flipped it and turned it over once a few times before putting it back down. See? My magic is just fine.
Well, that's good,
Fluttershy said, breathing a quiet sigh of relief. Her eyes, however, drifted back to the wood.
But if you don't mind me asking, why are all those logs stacked inside?
We usually put them in a backyard, but Twilight frowned, sighed, and shook her head. But something happened last night. Somehow, the logs caught fire. By the time we got outside, the whole stack was burning, and the flames were as tall as the house.
Did any pony get burned?
Fluttershy asked. Twilight shook her head. No, and as you can see, we were able to save the wood. Shiny put an airtight shield around the wood and choked out the fire. It was really quick thinking on his part. Still, after what happened, Dad wouldn't run the risk of losing the heartwarming logs again. So we moved them inside. You should have been here last night, Cadence added, sticking at her tongue. The whole place smelled like smoke before Twilight found a cleaning spell in one of her old books this morning. Don't you mean the book I found? Spike called out. Fluttershy, Cadence, and Twilight turned their heads, looking over at the stairs. Spike and Nyx were coming down the steps. Nyx, with a box on her back that Spike was helping to balance. We found the candlesticks Velvet wanted. Where should we...
Did somebody say candlesticks?
Verity asked, sticking her head out the kitchen door. She levitated the box away from Spike and Nyx, magically opening the flaps and removing one of the candlesticks.
Oh, it's an exquisite set, and it grows perfectly with the silverware I've already sent out.
Really, Verity, do you think we need candlesticks? Twilight said, as she looked over the back of the couch. It's a hearth-warming lunch at my parents' house. It's not going to be that fancy.
Well, I suppose that's true,
Verity admitted, before smiling and setting the flaps of the box.
But since Mike did went through all the trouble of getting them, I'm just going to go ahead and set them out. No pony has to put any candles in them, but the table is going to be just fabulous. And speaking of...
Verity poked her head into the kitchen for a moment. She then looked back out into the living room, levitating a stack of fabric napkins over to the coffee table.
Fluttershy, darling, could you fold the napkins? You do such a lovely silverware pass fold, and it would be fit so perfectly with the rest of the table settings. Of course, Verity. I'd be happy to help. Thank you, Fluttershy,
Verity said with a small sing-song melody in her voice. She disappeared back into the kitchen to carry the candlesticks to the dining room, and Spike followed in her wake, eager to assist. At the same time, Nyx walked over to the couch, jumped up, and took a seat next to Twilight.
You know how to fold napkins?
She asked Fluttershy. Fluttershy nodded gently as he leaned forward. She extended her wings and picked out the first cloth napkin with her surprisingly prehensile Pegasus feathers. She then began to fold.
It's just something I picked up.
Like your inexplicable knowledge of sewing? Twilight questioned.
Oh, well, yes, it's kind of like that,
Fluttershy admitted, blushing a little. Nyx was craning her neck, trying to look past Twilight to watch Fluttershy work.
Can you teach us?
Fluttershy glanced at Nyx before glancing to Cadence and Twilight.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm sure I could fold them all myself. You don't need to trouble yourselves.
It's not like we're doing anything else, Twilight commented as he picked up a fabric napkin in her magic. It'll be fun, right, Cadence? Cadence nodded in agreement, picking up a napkin of her own to fold. Nyx used her magic as well, though it took her a moment to get it stable. Still, the cloth napkin was light enough to keep it suspended in midair, and so all three magic-wielding ponies took to Fluttershy with eager smiles. And Fluttershy, in turn, glanced between them and smiled.
Well, if you really want to know, the first thing you need to do is fold your napkin in half like a book, and then turning the opening towards you, and after that...
As lunch was enjoyed by Twilight's family and friends, another pony was tilting back an empty coffee cup for the 10th time, forgetting again it was empty. Column sat amidst a stack of papers in Canterlot's central records office, a repository for many important documents of the kingdom. Legal filings, documents of incorporation, birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, certificates of authority to issue certificates, and many other documents found storage in the shelves of the central records office. And Column had been flipping through them ever since the office opened that morning and was rusting against the clock. The office closed at 1 o'clock for Hearthwarming Eve and would not open the next day. He was running out of time, and the incessant ticking of the reading room's grandfather clock reminded him that time was continuing to march on. He feared the tolling of that clock like death itself, and it was because of the simple fact he was so close. He had fished out all the publicly available records he could find. He had records of adoption, indicating that Twilight Sparkle was Nyx's legal guardian. He had school records, indicating Nyx's enrollment at Ponyville Elementary School, both past fall semester and the spring semester before that. But he was missing what he really needed, the hard evidence. Yes, he could blow the whistle early. He could write the story with what he thought he knew, and that would be enough to get to the front page. But no, he could dig deeper. He could get real dirt that would ensure his story wasn't waved off as some unsubstantial tabloid tale. He just needed something. Something to prove what Equestria as a whole believed was false. Something to prove Nightmare Moon wasn't in some jail on some far-off land. Something to prove that she was living in Ponyville, that she was living as Twilight Sparkle's daughter, and that she was free to frolic in the field of flowers with fawns and other fillies if it fascinated her. But he had swung and missed so many times. He had thought to find a birth certificate, showing that Nyx had been born less than a year ago, but all he could find was a certificate of citizenship. He tried to change the name form, documenting her name change from Nightmare Moon to Nyx, but had found nothing but a dead moth muzzled between some folders.
Oh my, that poor little moth.
Thank you, Fluttershy. But I just love the fact that he's trying to find a name change when Nyx is her birth name.
Sir, we close in 10 minutes.
Colin threw a dirty glare at the clerk, who had come up from behind him.
That means I get 10 more minutes. Quit breathing down my neck.
The clerk returned Colin's glare for a moment, before turning away and muttering something about missing Hearthwarming lunch. Colin, however, didn't really care if the clerk lost a leg if he stayed there another 10 minutes. The office closed at 1 in the afternoon. That meant he had until 1 in the afternoon, and that meant he still had 9 more minutes.
Come on, Colin, think. There has to be some record. There has to be a needle in this haystack. There has to be a golden apple in this orchard. There has to be a tree somewhere. Think!
Colin began to massage his temples, running ideas through his head. He had checked all the normal records. He had looked in all the usual places, and he had found nothing. There had to be something. But now he had to figure out where to look. Where did he look in the towering stacks of cabinets and filing boxes, which seemed to stretch forever in every direction, like daunting labyrinth? Where did he look in the massive records office, which took up a full city block and went several stories down to the ground? Where did he look amongst the millions, if not billions, of records?